Kayla says we're fighting the data centers here in rural Missouri. The last meeting went 11 plus hours. We the people do not want them here. Yet I see ads on social media pushing the no college, go trades. That's a psyop, offering $200,000 a year for young electricians to build new data centers. Yeah, Kayla, they are building their own prisons. They are building prisons for their children and for their grandchildren and the generations that follow after them. Duncan says, so if blue-collar American workers won't build the data centers / mass surveillance prisons, the newly amnestied citizens would be a large population able to do it. Coincidence, maybe? No, not a coincidence, Duncan. Of course not. And you know that. I'm sure that was a rhetorical question. I'm picking up on your sarcasm there, but that's why these people are in the pipeline. That's why Vice President Body Snatching Palantir is going to be President Palantir, because he is going to be President Mass Surveillance State, Super Surveillance State. That's J.D. Vance. That's why Peter Thiel has funded him, has created him. That's why he has been blessed by Miriam Adelson. That's why he's in the pipeline. You know, in hindsight, you're able to see these things so clearly now. But that's why Donald Trump has always been in the pipeline. You know, he is the AI president. He's President Trump Gaza. He's President Genocide. He's President Epstein. If we have come to learn anything from this current Trump administration, at least for those who have removed the scales from their eyes, you know, and are mentally strong enough to look at things for what they actually are, it's that when this administration tells the American people that they're going to release information to us, whether it's about Jeffrey Epstein or John F. Kennedy or something else entirely, it's a lie. From the day that Donald Trump took office in January of last year, we've heard over and over and over again, almost like it's some kind of a mind control ritual. We've heard all about how this is the most transparent presidential administration in all of American history, and how all of the information at the United States government's disposal will soon be at the American people's disposal because they are transparent. Only that's not true. That's not how it's worked out. That's not how it was ever going to work out. The American people were never going to get access to the Epstein files. That was fake. The American people were never going to get access to the Kennedy files. That was fake too. And the list goes on and on and on. And now, to remind us of that, a story broke just this week claiming that the CIA had started busting into government offices and snatching up files so that they cannot be released to the American people. It's the old Trump versus the deep state narrative coming back to life right before our eyes. And just yesterday, news broke that the CIA had raided the Office of National Intelligence, which is run by Tulsi Gabbard, to snatch up the files related to the MKUltra mind control operation and the assassination of John F. Kennedy. Take a look.
Tulsi Gabbard's office. Agents hauled out dozens of boxes, files on the JFK assassination and MKUltra, the CIA mind control operation, which she was in the process of declassifying. Today's whistleblower said it during his deposition, and Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna confirmed it moments ago.
The reason why this is troubling is, A, there was an executive order that the president had directed the full declassification of JFK, but then also to the MKUltra files. The CIA famously has said that, you know, all documents were released and other documents had been destroyed. So these are allegedly those documents that apparently never existed.
Can the CIA overrule the president?
No, the CIA cannot overrule the president. The CIA cannot even overrule the director of national intelligence. In 1975, the Church Committee, which became the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, specifically ordered DCI William Colby to release all of the MKUltra files. He famously went back to CIA headquarters and ordered that all of the files be destroyed. 85% of them were destroyed. He was held in contempt of Congress, and then CIA employees lined the halls and contributed cash to pay for the fine that he was ordered to pay. We only know what we know about MK Ultra because of the 15% of the files that weren't destroyed. These are among those 15% of the files. They are mandated to be declassified. The American people have a right to know what is in these files, and the CIA can't raid offices, least of all the offices of the Director of National Intelligence. It's just, real life isn't supposed to work this way. This is crazy.
This is something out of a movie, but the CIA was experimenting with LSD on willing and unwilling participants during the Cold War for intelligence operations and to exploit people, and it didn't go well a lot of the time. And they threw it all in a wastebasket, right? Like, it never really worked. Is that why they don't want anybody to know about it?
I think they don't want people to know any more than what we know about, for example, dosing innocent citizens of San Francisco, California, or a small village in France and putting LSD in the yeast at the only bakery in the village just to see if everybody in the village would go nuts, which they did, of course.
All right.
Or coming up with a program in San Francisco to hire prostitutes to dose Johns and see if they would cough up their innermost secrets. Ridiculous.
You know, that explanation from Jesse Waters is actually pretty amazing, because here he is claiming that all of these files, you know, boxes and boxes of files detailing the JFK assassination and MK Ultra mind control programming were basically stolen by the CIA from Tulsi Gabbard's office, or at least from the Office of National Intelligence. That's pretty funny, because according to the Trump administration and according to all of the fawning media coverage that we've received from the Fox News channel, all of this information had already been released to the American people. Do you remember that? I do. Trump was coming in to have some kind of a massive reckoning with the truth. The American people, in turn, were going to be given all of the information that they could possibly handle on who killed JFK, who killed RFK, who killed MLK, the whole 9 yards. Government corruption was going to be exposed. Government brainwashing was going to be exposed. Aliens were going to be exposed. That was their latest craze, at least. Aliens, UFOs, outer space. But those files were taken too. At least that's what Congressman Tim Burchett and Anna Paulina Luna were telling the media earlier this week, that intelligence agents had swooped in. They had taken all of the information about space aliens and their flying saucers before it could be released, in accordance with the weekly file drop set up by the Trump administration. So now this has happened twice in a week. And the reason that it is happening isn't because the Trump administration is trying to share the truth with the people and they're being stopped by negative Nazis at the CIA. You know, it's Trump against the deep state again. No, what it is that all of these massive file releases are fake. There are no massive file releases. They're psyops to make you believe that all of the talking points about this Trump administration being the most transparent in history, when in reality they're pretending to share information with the American people that they have no intentions of sharing in the first place, or that doesn't exist in the first place. Either way, it's fake. It's all fake. Jesse Waters said it's like something out of a movie. Yeah, it's WWE. It's Hollywood. It's a theatrical presentation. American politics, the entertainment arm of the military-industrial complex. They don't care about telling the truth. They're way too busy making money to do all that. The entire Trump family since taking office last year, and yeah, I mean the Trump family, not just Donald Trump taking office, his entire family. Because when this guy is in office, it's a White House family affair. His son-in-law is his Jewish handler, his Trump Gaza development partner. His biological sons are his crypto partners, his stock market partners, his drone warfare partners. And they also dabble in rare earth minerals. Actually, the Pentagon just recently allocated hundreds of millions of dollars into a rare earth minerals corporation that the Trump boys bought a huge stake in. And they've been doing similar things with drone companies. You know, like the one that Eric Trump got involved with that tests its products on Palestinian kids while focusing on maintaining a low cost per kill. There's some new information about all of this coming by way of Max Blumenthal. Take a look.
After this very strange incident at the White House press correspondents' dinner where there was a shooter who shot no one and didn't even get shot, they said they need, anti-drone technology. They need to establish a security base under the ballroom. It needs to be built.
The ballroom.
And where's all the money going to go to? It's all going to go to contractors that have been paying Donald Trump. So more corruption, just like the corruption that has granted Pentagon contracts for two separate drone companies that are now owned by Donald Trump's sons, one of which is actually an Israeli company that's producing technology for the Iran war. So we're talking about corruption that makes Hunter Biden look like Ralph Nader. It's corruption that makes Hunter Biden's art look like a Girl Scout baked cookie sale. It's the most corrupt administration we've ever seen.
You know, in a real country, in a normal country, in a serious country, this president's family would be run out of the capital city on a rail for doing something like this. But in occupied criminal America, it's just no big deal. No one is going to bat an eye over any of this. And if they do, they'll be called a conspiracy theorist or maybe an anti-Semite because Israel is involved. Just think about this for a minute, okay? Honestly, just be bare naked honest with yourself. Just think about the reaction from so-called conservative media outlets like Fox. If Joe Biden, or God forbid Hunter Biden, was funneling money from the Pentagon to his own private drone warfare venture, Israeli drone warfare venture, we would never hear the end of it. And rightfully so. These people are using the White House, our White House, the White House that belongs to the American people, as their headquarters for their own personal organized crime ring. And yeah, we all know Joe Biden did it too. Barack Obama did it too. George Bush did it. Nobody has done it like the Trump family. These people have raked in more than a billion with a B dollars over just the past year alone. More money than every other presidential family combined. And that number, that $1 billion with a B, excludes the $10 billion, again with a B, that Donald Trump fleeced off of the American people for his board of peace. And conservative media, they don't want to touch it. It's kind of like when networks like Fox offer up around-the-clock coverage on China, the CCP, all of the atrocities and civil liberties violations that they commit against their own people while completely ignoring the egregious conduct of the Israelis or of our own government under people like Donald Trump, who's basically an Israeli subject anyways. Just take a look at this video, because right now, as Donald Trump is on his trip to China, Fox News, of course, is along for the ride. And in the process, their crew got a Chinese ticket and has to pay a Chinese fine for illegally parking. And apparently that's something that Fox News is having a really hard time with.
There are literally cameras everywhere in Beijing. We are outside the Haidian station, and I can count at least 20 on this corner. In fact, in Beijing, they've added 1,500 cameras just this year alone. They see everything. There's nobody jaywalking here because they could get a ticket right away. In fact, our driver parked illegally for 2 minutes, and he got a message on his phone that he got a ticket for about $40 US because they saw it on the camera. Now, there are real questions what the CCP's goal is about citizen tracking and social scoring. They say it's to make everybody feel safe. These cameras are watching every minute. They're everywhere. And while they're watching us here in China, we hope you continue to watch. Special report from Beijing.
You know, it's all just so incredibly ironic, isn't it? Because the people over at Fox News have promoted, they have helped to install, they act every single day as the propaganda arm for the very government that's dragging the United States into a dystopian AI surveillance state future just like that. This is the world that Fox News wants for you, for the American people. They support the Patriot Act. They support the NSA. They support every government agency that spies on American citizens in the name, of course, of stopping terrorism. And more recently, combating anti-Semitism or transgender extremism. And now they're crying about their vehicles having been picked up on cameras that ticket illegal parkers and dangerous drivers in China. Well, you know, like the people at Fox News love to tell us when they're lecturing us about life in the United States, if they're not hiding anything, if they're not doing anything wrong, then really they just don't have anything to worry about, do they? They should be honored for having been picked up on government cameras so that they can track their every move, to give them the opportunity to show they are the ultimate law abiders, but instead they're pissed off that they got a ticket. And now they're crying about being the victims of Big Brother. You see, they're not used to playing by the same sets of rules as everyone else. But right now they're in someone else's country. They don't have above the law status on Chinese soil. Especially now that America is looking so weak, so cucked on the world stage, blatantly taking orders from Israel and losing battles to Iran. And speaking of Israel, what the hell is Miriam Adelson doing alongside President Trump and his administration's delegation on their visit to China? Why is this billionaire Jewess in China with the president? What business does Miriam Adelson have in these meetings between President Trump and President Xi? It's pretty obvious what's happening here now, isn't it? This is the moment that China has been waiting for. Their moment to kick the United States while it's down during this big presidential visit. And in the process, they can give Fox News a taste of their own medicine by using the very same surveillance state technology that Fox News and the GOP want to use on the American people. That's another major piece of all of the irony here. Fox News loves to paint China and the CCP as the ultimate bad guys. You know, the communist boogeymen with funny-shaped eyes hiding beneath your bed at night. But this Chinese-style surveillance state is exactly what they want to implement here in America, only not for them. Because Fox News is basically a part of this federal government corporate crime syndicate. So the whole surveillance grid, it's not for them. It's for you. It's for you and I. It's for us. And what's going to power this surveillance grid? Data centers. You know, there has been a lot of talk about data centers. Tucker Carlson was talking about this. Over the past 10 days, it's been nonstop coverage. But this isn't a new issue. As of May of this year, there are more than 5,000 data centers up and running in the United States, with Virginia hosting more than any other state. Texas and California take up second and third place. On top of that, there are data centers in every single state. This isn't some kind of an isolated issue. And now data center construction is kicking into high gear. The facilities are getting bigger than anyone could have ever imagined. Entire towns are being destroyed and swallowed up to make way for the development of these data centers, some of them twice the size of Manhattan and even bigger. And corporations like Amazon and Meta and Microsoft and Google and Oracle and Palantir and a whole lot more, they're all joining forces with local governments, state governments, and now more than ever before, the federal government to force their way into American communities, especially rural communities, all over the country. And when they do, they tax electrical grids, they drain water supplies, they poison the soil, they poison the air. And even people's ears. Listen to this. This is what it sounds like to live a half a mile away from one of these data centers. I mean, just on the surface level, that's enough to drive someone to suicide. Having to sit there day in and day out while you're awake, while you're asleep, 24 hours a day, listening to that every single day. And then you get into all of the other issues. What about property values? Who's going to be able to sell their home when the people who come to take a tour of it have to listen to that data center a half a mile away, grinding and humming along as it powers a digital prison? And noise pollution, that's only the beginning. Again, these things are wrecking the communities that they're being built in. They're actively displacing Americans. In Coweta County, Georgia, local government officials are using eminent domain to pave the way for a corporate data center, and they have stolen the property of more than 300 people. In some cases, they're just completely demolishing their homes.
Hey, you guys, my name's Ansley. I live in Coweta County, Georgia. I wanted to come out here and show you guys firsthand what is happening to our county. So as you can see behind me, we have these power lines. Georgia Power is going to expand these lines to support power to the data center. What they're doing to homeowners is they're taking their homes. This is my childhood home behind me. It is being taken by force by Georgia Power. Homeowners in this county do not have a choice. It is called eminent domain, and they will take it.
These people are American citizens, and they're losing their property. They're having their home stolen so that corporations working hand in hand with this occupied government at all levels can come in and build massive AI warehouses to power the complete and total transformation, the overhaul of the American way of life. Now, like I mentioned, that particular story, that video came out of Georgia, which is quickly emerging as one of America's top data center development grounds, especially around the Atlanta area, where more than 150 data centers have been built in recent history, and where the residents are paying the price, not just with their homes, not just with their properties as a whole, but with their water supply. So if they're lucky enough to not get their houses stolen and knocked over or smushed or blown up or mashed, then they're turning on their sinks, they're turning on their showers, and they're finding out that they're not working. They don't have water because the data centers are illegally tapping into residential water supplies, and they're stealing it because they've already gobbled up all of the industrial water supplies.
Well, Georgia, this is for you. Did you guys hear about the large data center that went up about 20 miles south of Atlanta? And there was an affluent community that was complaining that their water pressure was super low and nobody could figure it out. Well, the county finally got to the bottom of it, and there were 2 industrial-sized water lines connected to the city's water lines. One was feeding the data center and didn't have any paperwork or authorization, so they weren't being billed for that water usage. The second line also fed the same data center, and they were hooked up essentially illegally. And in 5 months, they consumed 29 million gallons of water without being charged for any of it. And when I tell you as voters, we have to radically change and not vote for candidates that are taking special interest money, including by the AI industry, AI lobbyists, that's an understatement. You can't say that these things bother you and that they're wrong, but turn around and vote for politicians that are going to sustain them. Yeah.
So what's going to happen to the data center developers or the data center operators who made that call to tap into residential water supplies of the communities that are hosting their data center operations, and then to steal that water supply directly from its citizens? What accountability is there for something like that? Probably nothing. Because in countless cases, the people who are building and running these data center operations are paying off local government officials, which gives them a license to do whatever the hell they want. But hey, maybe actually they're doing these people a favor in the long run, because we all know that the water supply is already toxic, it's poisoned. And data center construction and data center operation is only going to make matters worse, of course. So cutting off poisoned municipal water to people's houses might be a blessing in disguise long term. Only they're cutting off the power too. Seriously, it's hard to even put into words just how all-encompassing this data center takeover actually is. All over the country, any resource that you need to live, to survive in a normal day-to-day life is coming under threat because data centers need it worse. And because they are willing to pay your so-called elected officials to get it, which is probably why in Nevada, more than 50,000 people have been told that they will need to find a new source of power for their homes and for their businesses. Because the electricity that they're currently using, the electricity that they have been using for as long as they can remember, is now needed to power data centers. This is the area around Lake Tahoe. These homes don't come cheap. And now they're not going to come with power. Tucker Carlson talked about this on his show yesterday. Take a look.
Case the penultimate claim, this is not going to affect you. Consider that today, the 55,000 permanent residents of Lake Tahoe, which is one of the biggest and prettiest lakes in the United States, shares borders with both California and Nevada. Residents were told today that actually we're not going to provide you electricity anymore. The Nevada-based power company that is providing electricity to the residents of Lake Tahoe informed them today that, sorry, all the electricity we make, every watt of power that we generate is going to have to go to a nearby data center, and therefore you have until the end of next year to find a new source of electricity, and after that, we can't help you because the machines have called and they need the power. Sorry. So that's a little dystopian, to be honest. I'm not attacking the idea of AI and the promise that it may do useful things. But if they're informing you a year and a half out that, hey, at the end of 2027, you're not going to have any more electricity because the machines need it, and in fact, they're demanding it, and they seem a little agitated.
The machines called, they need food. They're hungry. They're hangry. They're becoming agitated. The machines need to be fed. Somebody needs to feed the machines or else. That's the future that you and your children can look forward to in America. The machines are thirsty. They need your water. The machines are hungry. They need your food. They need your power. So you and your neighborhood, your grocery store, your church, you and your community, your family, sorry, you're just going to have to do without. Take a seat. That's just the way it is. Now, of course, the power company involved here in this Tucker story, Liberty Utilities, they're trying to skirt any kind of accountability. They're claiming that Tucker has this story all twisted up and the facts are distorted, and that what Tucker left out is that they are actively searching for a solution. They are looking for a replacement so that they don't literally leave 50,000 people in the dark. But whatever they say is BS. It's lip service, and it doesn't matter at all. Because no matter how this particular situation shakes out, they have abandoned their customers for a data center. And ultimately, if no replacement is found, they'll just cut off the power for these over 50,000 people without a second thought. And we're glad to see that Tucker is finally reporting on this, although this is nothing new. This has already been happening on the other side of the country where these data centers have been in place for years now. In fact, we reported on this earlier this year here at the Stu Peters Network when in rural Virginia, power company customers got notices in the middle of a snowstorm nonetheless, letting them know that their power may be cut off at a moment's notice at random because that power was needed elsewhere. And where was that elsewhere? Data centers in the DC area. So yeah, this is shaping up to be the new normal for the American people if we allow it to be. And what does that even mean at this point, if we allow it to be? Because in Utah, an absolutely massive data center has already been approved for construction. It's owned by this Canadian billionaire called Kevin O'Leary. It's going to absolutely gut the rural community of Box Elder County. This thing takes up a whopping 40,000 acres. 40,000 acres. It uses twice the amount of power as the entire state of Utah currently uses. And this thing has already been rammed through the approval process despite vocal disapproval from local residents, from local voters, the people the county commission supposedly answers to, until, of course, data center developers come running in with their open checkbooks. That's the way it goes. Now, Now, Tucker discussed this on his show yesterday as well. So we're going to play that clip, get a little bit of information on that data center, and then we have another clip teed up for you afterwards.
In the outcry over a proposed data center in Utah, in a fairly sparsely populated, pretty remote county in Utah, most of which is sparsely populated, in which will be built what's being billed as the largest data center in the world. Enormous. 40,000 acres. 40,000 acres. 62 square miles, multiples the size of Manhattan. Huge, impossible to imagine. And that data center, which is basically a series of interconnected, low-slung, vinyl-clad warehouses in which sit not people making things, but computers computing things. That data center, once completed, will draw about 9 gigawatts of power. How much is a gigawatt? Well, it's a billion watts. It's one step from a terawatt, which is a trillion watts. 9 gigawatts. Now, how much is 9 gigawatts? Well, 9 gigawatts is more than twice what the entire state of Utah now uses. Every human being in the millions of people who live in Utah, all of them combined, all the manufacturing in Utah, all the ski lifts, all of it, every air conditioning unit, every electric heater, every Tesla, all of them combined use less than half that amount of electricity. That's an amazing amount of electricity.
Okay, so that's what the data center itself entails. Now let's take a look at what the approval of this data center entailed. This is a video clip from the Box Elder County Commissioners meeting that took place earlier this month.
Q&A is between us and you! False authority! False authority!
On Monday, hundreds of angry residents came out to express their opposition to Kevin O'Leary's proposed data center in Box Elder County, Utah, only to be told commissioners weren't taking comments.
Why won't they let people talk? Why won't they let us ask questions? From now on, I will tell you, you continue. I have law enforcement here who will remove you from the meeting.
Fed up with the resident uprising, the commissioners left the room to conduct the meeting virtually and promptly approved the project.
I would move for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion that we approve Resolution 2612.
At 40,000 acres, it would be the largest data center in the world, consuming more power than the entire state of Utah.
I'm actually here to support good governance, which this wasn't. We actually have a 5-year review process for this kind of stuff in the past. This was pushed through in 5 months.
This data center would just mean more suffering for me and everybody else that lives here while a couple of rich jerks line their pockets.
It's my understanding that the guy that is behind all of this is from Canada. I don't understand why Utah is letting a Canada company come in and take advantage of us.
The biggest concerns really are about water usage, broad environmental impacts, and then the fact that the state is basically giving an out-of-country developer a tax break. We're subsidizing corporate profit with public resources, and I'm just not okay with that.
They're going to poison our air, and they're going to create a heat island that's not going to be good for us either. We're already in the middle of a terrible drought.
Residents are also concerned that the data center could drain water from the Great Salt Lake, which is already suffering from declining water levels.
It's important that we place this within the community, that we place it within the scientists who know how this will affect the Great Salt Lake, not in bureaucrats down at the Capitol.
Why do they think that they can do the studies afterwards when everybody else has to do studies beforehand?
We already have 53% of the lake bed exposed, and that lake bed is toxic.
They're using water for this system, water that we need in this state. I have survived for 68 years without AI. I have no need for AI.
This is not for the good of the people here. This is for the good of some out-of-town big shots who want to make themselves richer than they already are, even though they already have more money than they know what to do with, at our expense.
We are going to do something about it today, and we're going to do something about it tomorrow, and we're going to do something about it every day until people realize that our communities matter more than corporate profit.
Those county commissioners approved a data center for a foreign developer who's friends with Donald Trump over the frantic shouts of the citizens that they are supposed to serve. The citizens whose power supply and whose water supply and whose air supply and whose soil itself will be irreparably harmed by this development. And by the way, there is another massive data center that's been slated for development. This one is in Texas, where construction has already began. It's known for now as Project Matador. But when construction is finished, it will be renamed and known as the President Donald J. Trump Advanced Energy and Intelligence Campus. Almost like they're telling us exactly what these places are before they even finish them. They are massive surveillance campuses run by a merger of big tech corporations and foreigners and the occupied United States government. And by the way, no shocker here, they are massively linked to Israel. So naming one of them, or naming all of them for that matter, after Donald Trump, the AI president, it makes perfect sense. And while they're at it, maybe they could name one or two after Sebastian Gorka, because once this network of data centers has been constructed, once the surveillance and social enforcement network is firmly intact, foreign tyrants like Sebastian Gorka are going to have a blank check to do whatever the hell they want when it comes to attacking and suppressing your right to live as a free American. People like Sebastian Gorka are chomping at the bit to force you into compliance with the Zionist-occupied government that's ruling over this country from D.C., sucking the American people and the American economy dry in the process. And I mentioned Sebastian Gorka by name on purpose because we've talked about him a couple of times already this week, because Sebastian Gorka, the foreign-born triple citizen who's only been an American, you can even call him that, since 2012, has taken center stage as a top Trump counterterrorism official. Actually, they call him the counter-terror czar, a far cry from his usual job as a mouth runner on conservative TV and radio news. But under the guise of his counterterrorism role, this guy is now taking an extremely aggressive line against free speech, calling out American citizens by name and claiming that they are national security threats because he doesn't like the things that they have to say about this country's government and its parasitical relationship with Israel. Or, to frame it more accurately, Israel's parasitical relationship with the United States government and this country itself. And of course, let's not forget about this country's financial system. They really love draining that one. And their employees, like triple citizen Sebastian Gorka, is now naming American citizens by name as targets of his anti-speech, Israel-loving counterterrorism office, claiming that Americans who say things that he doesn't like are linked to Russia and Iran and other foreign entities. Which is pretty ironic coming from a triple citizen who's obviously working for Israel. I mean, listen to this subversive.
However, there are things within our laws that you are not allowed to say, right? The freedom of speech does not extend to inciting violence or threatening the lives of specific individuals. That is not permissible. Beyond that, we will map. We haven't talked much about it, but if you read the counterterrorism strategy, it's a very clear document. We don't shy away from telling the world what we're going to do. We are going to map out these individuals. We are going to identify them. We're going to find this is, God bless Scott Besson, Kash Patel, yes. AG, the acting AG, Todd Blanche. The money trail. The money trail is the most important thing. You look at these from the river to the sea, bring the Intifada to the streets of America. It's so interesting. You're on the campus of Berkeley or you're on the streets of New York, and everybody has exactly the same placard, printed with the same font. That's a little bit strange. So, I can't discuss, ongoing operations, but the importance of malign foreign actors who leverage domestic fellow travelers. We lived this for 40 years during the Cold War. We will get to the bottom of all of it, whether it's the Singham network, whether it's Iran, whether it's Russia, whether it's anybody else. Our mission is to uphold the Constitution and at the same time protect Americans from violence.
Just wait until people like Sebastian Gorka gain control of a nationalized globalized surveillance grid, even bigger than the one that they have access to right now. And then everything that you do, everything that you say, everything that you think, every move that you make, every text that you send, every call that you take will be tracked, tabulated, and added to your Palantir profile. That's what these people want. So just remember, everyone who's signing off on the construction of these data centers is in turn signing off on psychotic tyrants like Sebastian Gorka controlling your speech, controlling your movement, controlling everything about your life. You know, here on this show, it's no secret that we are vehemently against government surveillance. I think I have made that pretty damn obvious. But if there is one kind of person out there who should be surveilled with a proper warrant, of course, then it's a pedophile. It's a child predator. Can we agree on that? Is that a hill that we can all die on? Especially online pedophiles and child predators. These people use the internet to prey on kids. And then oftentimes they brag about it. They hide in plain sight. Even on streaming channels with thousands of followers, like Beardson Beardly, for example, this freak who started following Nick Fuentes apparently after his wife cheated on him, the guy that now Nick Fuentes refers to as his best friend, as his mentor. Beardson Beardly, he's just the latest griper to be exposed as a pedophile.
If they cared about helping women, they would support forced child marriage.
Yeah, he's already a pedophile. I mean, you can just look at him. I know you're asked. You talk to little girls. Just say that.
No, I don't. So you are underage. I'm a human being. I'm trying to talk to you. What's up, cuties? What's good, sweetie? How you doing? See that water's not good?
Yeah. So weird.
There's a lot of weirdos on here. Y'all are like 12. I'm not trying to.
You're over the age of 18 and you're talking to us. Doesn't mean you're catching a case, right?
No.
Exactly.
No, it's only if you do something inappropriate.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be inappropriate with you guys. I'm just curious.
Why are you talking to me like that? You said you were talking like that.
I can do whatever the fuck I want. Damn, you're a nasty bitch, huh?
3 years.
Oh yeah? Still getting it on the reg? Why are you nervous?
Because you're a man.
Is that what it is? I'm actually fucking upset. Dude, you've got to, like, take it down. Take it down right fucking now!
How old are you?
Don't worry about it.
At 34? Hold on.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it? I don't know, bro. How old are you?
Don't worry about it. Too old.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you look like you're getting, like, groomed by, like, a 40-year-old man right now.
I'm not.
We can make that happen. Straight up sexual harassment right there, okay? That's how you do it. You look like you're gonna start an OnlyFans and only 2 people are gonna subscribe to.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
How old are you?
34. How old are you?
15. Oh.
What's your favorite anime?
That's crazy! Henry sent $5. Shobu, prove it. I'm not wearing underwear. These are underwear. These are not.
What's the difference? Yeah, give me your address right now. I'll come through. I think you're actually a really lovely lady. Why does it matter how old I am?
Because you look like you could be my fucking grandpa.
Like, I don't know why it is. Why is it? Maybe there's something wrong with me. I am attracted to just the dumbest women. And I mean in a sexual way. I mean in a totally bricked up way. There's something about just like some like dumb airhead bitch. Are you a dumb bitch?
So Beardson Beardly, or whatever the hell his real name is one of Nick Fuentes' top lieutenants, as they call him. Nick refers to him as his best friend, as his mentor, and he loves looking at little girls' feet on the internet. That's the kind of sick freak mentoring Nick Fuentes and hanging around with Nick and his cat boys. It's no wonder these people support Randy Fine for Congress.